There's nothing like it. One is obviously we're just on one set, right? But the crew is there all the time. So it's as the prepping director, you can't go onto set and start, thinking, I'm gonna do this over here, I'll do that over there, because the crew's there all day, every day. So myself and my AD would be standing basically at the stage door, and the second they go to lunch, you like run onto set and you spend the hour lunch like, and we would just read the script and walk it. Okay, so and so is going to go here. This is going to go here. I'm going to want this person in the background over there. This is going to be there. Da, 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 da. Okay, great. Oh, let's change this so and so is in this room instead of that room because that's going to work better. But I think something that's kind of amazing. It started pouring rain here. I don't know if it's getting loud. Something that was kind of awesome about the Pit is they designed the set before they started writing the show so that they understood the geography of where everyone was and they wrote for the set, which is like, again, brilliant. The amount of times I get a script and I'm like, well, that won't work because this is here and that's there. And can you change this to this or whatever? Sorry, I have to pick up my dog. She doesn't like the rain. This is queso, everybody. Um, so so my Pit, like the Pit is like your prep is about understanding the emotion that you're going to need. Because on the day we rehearse and then we really just start filming it, and we have two cameras, our operators are extraordinary. Jojo, our DP, is like, we just do a take and then we're like, okay, that didn't work because of this, or that was really great there, but catch this over here. You try to really develop how long I really tried to keep things going for as long as I could. And then for like episode 12, which was where the mass casualty starts, Nina, our production designer, built a model of the set. And then we had all these tiny little beds and we numbered them all. And then we just prepped placing. It was like a, you know, dollhouse basically. And we're like, okay, in scene number 22, this yellow zone is going to be here. Pink numbers are there. This person moves out here. And again, it's just all math.
Yeah, but brilliant. So
Really.
smart to do that. Yeah. So let's talk a little about this is your really big episode of the season. So episode 12 at 6 p.m. and this is the mass casualty event following a shooting. It's been called one of television's most emotionally resonant hours. What was your approach to directing such an intense, large-scale episode? I mean, obviously that model was a big part of the preparation, but
The
what else?
model was
Yeah.
a big part of it. It was also like, I directed episodes 2, 4, 8, and 12. 2 is our the parent, like our kid who ODs comes in, and so does Spencer, who dies at the end of 4, the older gentleman. And then 4, it's like the he dies. Noah wrote that episode. And then 8, the little girl drowns. And I remember going to Scott and be like, I'd read every episode that was mine. I was like, Scott, what have you done to me? Like, but for 12, it was such a technical episode and such a huge episode that my thing was I had to make sure that we still felt feelings. And that was sort of like that we had so many long conversations about all the technical aspects of it and what wounds we were going to see and was I going to see this and when that was going to be needed and like all of the aspects of like what it would take to have one of those things happen in your hospital. But then really the whole point is showing like how emotionally devastating it is. And that was sort of my guiding light through that episode.
Yeah, great. Makes sense. So let's talk about episode 4, which I just like loved. And before we were even doing this event, t told everyone about this episode of television. Written by Noah is a deeply moving storyline where these siblings are dealing with their father's end of life care. And Dr. Robbie shares a ritual with them, describing it as the 4 things that matter most, that can help when saying goodbye to a loved one on the early stages of loss. So these four phrases, I love you, thank you, I forgive you, please forgive me. I just found this to be one of the most important episodes of TV of all time. And I know it resonated really deeply with people. So would you talk a little bit about working with Noah as the writer and an actor in this, and then also the other actors on this storyline?
Well, Noah's like very quickly became one of my favorite people ever. Um, I really miss him. I really love working with him. And him having written that episode, I think it was like a bonding experience in that way of like not only having him on camera, but having like created the words, creating the stories. That episode two, was like very personal. My AD, my line producer, and myself had all lost our fathers within the last year to 2 years. So we were all on set just watching that and like basically just crying while we were making it in this way that was, um, I don't know. I've just never experienced anything like it. I'm in other shows where I'm like, I don't know, can you guys like make out longer? Some like whatever, like, or like when you get shot, can you do this instead? And this was it was like, it was profound and it was sweet and it was, I even had a friend told me something about that episode where at first he was like, people don't talk like that. Like they don't communicate that clearly. And then he was like, actually, I hadn't been able to have that experience with my parent when they died. And so I was shut down. And then he's like, I just sort of let go a little and it hit me so hard. And I was like, you don't often, again, as a television director, you get a job and you're like, great, I get to go work on this show. And then they're like, here's your script. You don't get to ever choose your script, right? It's very much you're like I didn't create it. I didn't write it. And I just like won the lottery with every single one of my Pitt episodes. Um, it was
Right
pretty
person
cool.
for the right job, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's such an incredible ensemble here, which it seems like it could be a challenge, but they're all incredible. Would you tell us about your approach for working with actors and generally and how you prep for directing so many performances?
Um, it's interesting because there's not really, in a way, the prep for directing performances is understanding what you're supposed to feel. But the prep is just being like, I'm a little Californian, then I'm like, you really got to be like in your heart chakra. You got to really be like understanding, how am I supposed to feel? Where is this supposed to be coming from? They're saying these words, but they mean this thing or whatever. So the cast, we had actors that like Patrick, he just graduated from Yale. So Patrick, who's an incredible actor, also there was a lot of technical aspects of television acting that he was learning while we were, so you're like, oh, that's a wonderful performance, but you held this device in a different hand for the entire take. So, and at first he's where he was like, is that bad? And you're like, yeah, I can't use it. I have to use this one or that one. You can't just like magically be like, boop, you know? And so there was like those, so you were like, some of it was like helping teach very talented actors technical aspects of their jobs. And then others were like, just you just have so many pieces and they have just making sure that somebody's being consistent. And then, but also, I mean, just having Noah, sometimes I would go to Noah, and just be like, I need to get this. I can't figure out I can't figure out the note. And this is what I'm looking for. And he would be like, try blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, great. And I would, like, it's like having a gold mine, basically.
Oh, and so wise of you to know to tap into it.
Oh,
Brilliant. So background actors are also such a big part of this
Oh.
environment and creating this world. Would you tell us just a little bit about how you work with your team on this and any advice you might offer directors about working with background?
Well, and one is like as a director, you are not supposed to direct background, right? Like that's the ADs are the ones, and sometimes you can kind of get in trouble for it. Or if you direct a background, that turns them into an actor, which turns how much they get paid. And then all of a sudden the producer's being like, why did you talk to so and so? You just cost me $500 or like whatever it is. I don't know what it is. And you're so that was like as a baby director, I learned that one really quickly. They're like, don't do that, you know. But we had the same background basically from episode 1 to episode 12. Like we had a lady who had like a fake pregnant belly who was just like laying in this bed. You know, she just came to work every day and she would hide books in her belly. So in between takes, she would just read books and then just put them back because there's no phones allowed on set, which I love so much. So everyone like has to engage and nobody's just like doom scrolling, you know? And there's a lot of really great rules on John Wells sets that I love, which are just all about people being present and prepared, you know?
Mhm.
But so our background really like more than any show I've ever been on became sort of part of our world. You know, some like I did a scene last night for the show that I'm on that we had 75 background on. Like I'll never see those people again. They just came for like a party scene and then, you know, but this was really different. And in episode 12, when everyone left, we were just like, we love you guys. We'll miss you guys.
Really bonded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those other John Wells rules that would be worth sharing? Mm.
There's no sides on set, and sides are when the pages for that day's work are sort of like, you know, photocopied, and every single person on the crew can normally get them. And they're like, oh, we're doing scenes one, two, three, whatever. But John Wells' world is like, if you're an actor, you should know your lines when you get to work. So there's no sides. You can have your script if you need or whatever. Like, I mean, obviously I have my script, but it's that it's no phones on set and there's also no last looks, which is basically by the time people come to set they should have their hair and makeup done instead of people going onto set and then sort of hair and makeup swarms everybody and then it just becomes a sort of chaos. I really love it. It's all about efficiency, man.
I was just gonna say, sounds more efficient.
It's really efficient. It's really efficient. It's awesome.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
So the camera is such an immersive part of like the immersive experience on this show. Could you talk a little bit about just the visual approach and working with the camera on the series?
It's interesting because I am such a camera focused director that I often warn people like I'm gonna have a lot of thoughts and a lot of notes and I'm gonna be very specific. And in general, I would say that goes over very well for me, right? But again, as a television director, now more and more, I'm normally a producer on a show that I'm doing. So I've actually helped hire the camera department or the DPs or whatever. But it is sort of very, I can see what I want. So it's just about me being able to communicate it. And it is also very, but it is a skill of mine, right? Like it is, I am very good about talking about camera, talking about shots, how something should land. This could go over here. I can see, or I can watch something and be like, oh my God, but also our operators on the pit were so good because often after a take, even sometimes JoJo would almost go to note them. I was like, they saw what they missed. Just let it like, I know they'll fix that. And then you'd watch it and they're like, yep. And then they got that, you know. It's really, and we would just do passes sometimes where we would go like, okay, we're in an emergency. This is a Robbie pass. Like whatever's Robbie's doing, seeing or feeling like that's what you want to focus on, you know, and like, or this one's a, you know, Mel pass or whatever. Yeah.
Love that. I know that as a writing tactic, and rewriting, but it's interesting
Mm.
applied to the set in directing. Um, do you want to talk a little bit about sort of the shift to being a producer and sort of like hiring directors or anything? Are you
I
enjoying that
mean,
sort
not really.
of?
I don't like it very much. I
editing.
really just like directing.
Yeah,
It's
understood.
really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's in certain ways made me better as my job as a director. Um, but it's very hard as a director. You're to like, I know the answer. This is what I would do. And if there's another director there, you need to let them choose. And you need to not step on their toes and you need to basically respect DGA rules, which I of course totally believe in, but you're often just like, because it's just everything in my nature is to be the director. So uh
Good challenge.
yeah.